Talent Talk Tuesdays is all about harnessing your God-given talents to live with greater clarity, purpose, and joy. You are wonderfully made, my friends. May all we do be for God's glory. Hello and welcome, everybody. This is Talent Talk Tuesdays, and I'm your host, Lisa Mladnick. Today I'm calling this episode Not Yet. I'm talking about God's timing and discernment. Back in episode 40, I talked about ditching false prudence. And some of that has to do with timing, with not waiting around, with not dithering too long, with taking action. Remember Proverbs 3:6, to lean not on your own understanding, but if you trust in the Lord, he will make your paths straight. And I'm relating this to our talents because I've just really bungled something very badly by not discerning properly and by jumping into something too fast. In ditching false prudence, we were talking about going too slowly. That was about, I'll just be prudent, I'll wait. And the idea that waiting on the Lord is an active thing. Jesus said, follow me. He used a lot of verbs. He says, go and sin no more. He doesn't say, yep, you sinned. Stop right now. Don't use your talents. You're not worthy. We're supposed to repent. We're supposed to ask for redemption of our talents. And yet he does ask us sometimes to wait in the temporal sense. My discernment last year, that I've told you a lot about, was God waiting around for me, of him asking me to do certain things and me going, I don't know. Maybe that's not you saying that. Maybe I'm a little confused. Maybe, and just dithering around and being confused until I finally said yes. In every case, and it was several times, big things. I just couldn't believe what he was asking of me. But when I said yes and started to just move back in his direction, he gave me peace. And he sent people to help me. And my life got lighter and better. You've heard all this. But a couple of months ago, I made a huge mistake. I forgot to ask his permission about something, and I was invited into a professional opportunity that suits my talents, my dreams, my hopes, my desires perfectly. It's a big new challenge. It requires a lot of new training, but it was an amazing opportunity. And I said yes without even stopping to pray. I just said yes. And for a couple of months afterwards, and this commitment is for something happening out in the future, so it's not something I was in the middle of, but oh gosh, did I struggle. And I was in pain, and I was trying to manipulate God into making it all work out anyway, even though I hadn't asked his permission. I didn't pause to pray and say, Lord, is this your will? I can sense that it is his call for me at some point, but he was basically saying, not yet, not yet. And while I was in this tangle of emotions and struggle and not knowing what to do and terrified of letting anybody down, my wise friend Sarah said, why don't you take this to Our Lady Undoer of Knots? And I know you all know by now how much I love Our Lady. I mean, I try to love Our Lady. I know she loves me. I know she loves you. And as soon as I started to add that title, that affectionate title, Our Lady Undoer of Knots, to my rosaries, and the next couple of times I received the Eucharist, it really rapidly became clear that it was time to withdraw, to step back from the commitment, to let people down in order to get right with God. And that's a hard thing for me to admit publicly, right? You do a podcast in part, not only to serve people, but you also getting yourself out there professionally. That's part of the reason people do these things. It's part of our self-marketing. We serve, but we also desire to connect. And I should know better. I really just should at this point in my life. But, we all make mistakes. And it was extremely painful, but God poured grace into the situation. The people that I let down are saintly people. And everything's going to fall into place and be fine. It's not a disaster, but it felt like it. When I was discerning and I couldn't even consider for a couple of months just dropping out. I was asking God to sort out my mistake, my disobedience, my lack of discernment. I wanted him to just make it work. And there's lots of things like that in life, begging for miracles of healing or fertility or whatever it is for the people that we care about, or for freedom for those who are not free in some way. And yet, even though it feels like we're waiting around and he's saying not yet, His victories, his power, his love, his listening ear, his tenderness never leave us. And he is working on our behalf all the time. He never stops. Yet that one thing that we want so badly, that part of us is having a 2-year-old tantrum over, and maybe it's a good and beautiful and holy and really important thing. But God might be saying, and this is for the best, it's for your good, not yet. So a bunch of things in my wheelhouse, right in my talents, right in the things that I love, are on hold for the moment because God's asked me to do a lot of other things that were unexpected, that were not on my to-do list. But they're beautiful things. And I believe they're going to have a legacy impact in the world of Catholic coaching. And I say that humbly because, man, I'm along for the ride. But other things are on hold. I'm still discerning. I keep asking the Lord, here's a small one, but an important one. It's very important to me. I keep asking the Lord if it's time to start on this show a podcast series based on this book I'm always telling you all to buy, the Strengths-Based Marriage book. Just go through it chapter by chapter or section by section, because it's got 17 chapters, but it's got several sections that those are grouped into. You know, maybe soon. I have this sense that it's something people want. It's something I desire to do, but not yet. Maybe he'll say yes next week. Maybe not for months. I do have a lot on my plate, and that would be a little bit of an undertaking. But I've done free webinars, you know, not just single webinars, but webinar series a couple of times for married couples on using that book, and it's been very powerful for them. But there are lots of things that I desire to do that are in my mind and in my heart that are on God's timeline somewhere. All the conversions I ask for every day, all the troubles of God's people around the world, everything that burdens my heart when I don't give it over to him and his timing and his plan. But whether he's making me wait or he's asking me to hurry up and get with the program, he's working with me and you right where we are and preparing you, preparing me, preparing our talents, above all, preparing our hearts to be able to really walk with him, to fulfill our personal vocation, to shine that unique and unrepeatable light into the world that the church needs right now, and he will make our paths straight. Again, look at Proverbs 3:6. Here's the actual text. In all your ways, submit to him, and he will make your paths straight. As a woman who was in college in the 70s, yes, I'm in my 60s now, you know, nobody was going to tell me anything. And so this word submit can sting a little bit. Not so much anymore, but it did for a long time. Submit to him and he will make your path straight. That means when he says go, you go. When he says not yet, you pump the brakes and look around and think, okay, Lord, so you've given me all sorts of other things to do. Help me attend to them, to do exactly what you want me to do today. And it's a strange thing because for someone like me who's high in activator, that's what Gallup calls the let's go talent, and input, oh my gosh, I can't wait to share every little thing I learn. Connectedness, I so want to pour into people, build bridges, but especially my responsibility talent. And it's not even in my top 10, but it's up close, running right behind. I think it's 11. To let something go that I had agreed to do because it wasn't God's will. Oh, that hurt. That was extremely painful. It challenged important relationships in my life. But because I had tried to get out ahead of God, I didn't think of it consciously that way. I just launched. I just said yes. And it completely disrupted my peace. It was making me feel burned out and crushed. You see in the Psalms so many times when people say, Lord, you're crushing me. The weight of your anger is upon me. And I didn't feel like God was, literally angry with me. But I felt the weight of my disobedience, of my rebellion, of my headstrong, rash decision, which involved other people. I felt the weight of it, and I kept getting sick. I got hurt. I've told you about this. I was burning myself out. I was so stressed. But now I'm back where I belong. I'm in his peace. And yes, it's been a painful lesson, but once that peace is restored and I can feel little and, feel like his daughter and feel simple, I still believe me, I have plenty of work on my plate, and it's exciting and beautiful work that he's given me. Because I chose him. I said no to these good people and a wonderful opportunity. I got right with God. And I've confessed it too. When I realized several weeks ago that I had made a decision without consulting God, and a big decision, and that it was probably the wrong decision, I took it to the confessional. So my encouragement for you today is to pray your heart out every day. We always hear that, but just keep bringing yourself into his presence. Learn your talents, connect the dots to your dreams, your desires, cultivate that heart of service. I know who I'm talking to. You're already doing a lot of this. And listen to the Lord. Take his hand. Don't let go. And he will personally make your paths straight. So if he says not yet, just look around and see what he's already given you. To treasure, to love, to rest in, to work on. And have a heart full of praise for him, because he's so good and his timing is perfect. You're wonderfully made, my friends. Please pray for me. I'm praying for you too. God bless you.